The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. From Fox News, numerous royal watchers have insisted that Charles snubbed his son, but royal expert Sharon Felton-Spence disagrees. The king was scheduled to be in France before Germany. He was not even supposed to be in the UK, so Harry's surprise trip was strategically planned for when his brother and his father would be out of town. The political situation in France forced an unfortunate cancellation of the king's visit, which made him stay unexpectedly in the UK for a few days. If the king is too busy to see Harry, it's because he approached him as the king and not as a son to a father. Sometimes your former boss is too busy to see you if you drop in on them. Kinsey Schofield, the host of To Die For Daily podcast, had a different take. The King's diary is typically built months in advance, but the idea that the King had this time off and chose not to engage with his son tells me that Charles does not trust his boy. He does not want any drama before the coronation, and he clearly thinks Harry's grievances are petty. If Harry and Meghan attend the King's coronation, they should bring their parkas because things are going to be ice cold. This is a direct result of Harry's selfish actions. He hurt so many people in the process of making his Netflix special and selling his book. He has alienated his family. Time heals all wounds, but Harry has got to stop lobbing grenades. And while we're on the subject, I will tell you that I believe Harry's team likely leaked this story for sympathy because what is Prince Harry if not a perpetual victim? He might not be allowed to wear a uniform at the coronation, but perhaps we can find him a pacifier. Christopher Anderson, author of The King, said, "Let's put it this way. Neither side of this bitter family dispute is willing to give an inch. They seem to be more dug in than ever. The King is certainly not about to drop everything because Harry has flown into town. And even if Harry were to make some overture at this point, which he won't, Charles' schedule is packed during the walk-up to the coronation." Sally Bedell Smith, the author of the soon-to-be-released George VI and Elizabeth, The Marriage That Shaped the Monarchy, told Newsweek she wishes Harry had not revealed so much in Spare. "Well, I wish he hadn't, I really do. Even though he was getting it out and having some kind of catharsis through that, I think in the process he inflicted a lot of hurt on the people who loved him." There was a really interesting piece that Patty Davis wrote about in her memoir in which she was very tough. She was the daughter of Ronald and Nancy Reagan, and she was very, very tough on them. And she wrote in this essay saying that she later lived to regret it, and she wondered if Harry might feel the same way because he said very hurtful things. Davis wrote in an op-ed for the New York Times in which he said, "My justification in writing a book I now wish I hadn't written, and please don't go by it, I've written many other books since, was very similar to what I understand to be Harry's reasoning. I wanted to tell the truth. I wanted to set the record straight. Naively, I thought if I put my own feelings, my own truth out there for the world to read, my family might also come to understand me better. Of course, people generally don't respond well to being embarrassed and exposed in public, and in the ensuing years I've learned something about the truth. It's way more complicated than it seems when we're young. There isn't just one truth, our truth. The other people who inhabit our story have their truths as well." Palace Intrigue, right back. Hey, I'm going to whisper some magic words to you. Palace 65. Palace 65. Remember those words because you are going to feel like royalty when HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit, saves you that much money. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why HelloFresh now has 40 weekly recipes to choose from. You can say ta-ta to your recipe rut and treat yourself and your family to exciting new flavors every week. Looking for an easy way to eat well and save money? Cut back on expensive takeout and delivery and get started with HelloFresh. You'll love how fast and easy it is to whip up a restaurant-quality meal right in your own kitchen. In the time it takes to listen to Palace Intrigue here, you could be halfway done in prepping dinner. HelloFresh's latest line of meals featuring robust flavors and filling portions are ready in less than 15 minutes. Enjoy taste and quality done quickly with recipes like falafel power bowls, seared steak and potatoes with bayonnaise sauce, or Southwest pork and bean burritos. But here's the craziest deal for Palace Intrigue listeners. Go to HelloFresh.com/Palace65 and use that code Palace65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/Palace65 for 65% off plus free shipping. That's one crazy deal.
I'm Nina Hobson, ex-police detective from the UK. I've worked on every crime mentionable, from murder to kidnap to stalking to fraud. When I left the force, I launched my own investigations firm that soon became a global operation. I'm also a single mother of two, to two members of my team, my son Harrison and daughter Amy. Every week, we'll be getting first-hand accounts from psychological experts, operatives, former criminals, actual victims of the crimes that we investigate, and of course, my very own flesh and blood. From Storic Media, you're listening to Codename Siren, a true crime podcast. Available on YouTube and all major podcast platforms.
A friend of the king tells the Daily Beast that despite the daily noise, Charles wants Harry at the coronation. Nothing that happens between now and then will make any difference in the seating plans. Charles has always said that he loves both his sons. He wants them both there. Harry and Meghan are invited and will be seated prominently. The Beast analysed potential seating, writing, "Most observers believe that the seating layout will favour William as heir to the throne, with the best spot at his father and Camilla's side. He will be accompanied by his wife Kate and their 3 children, which will account for all these seats on the right of the aisle, assuming they go 14 abreast as they did at the Queen's funeral, and will neatly keep the King and the first 4 in line of succession together visually. To the left of the aisle, expect to see his sister, Princess Anne, and her husband, Sir Tim Lawrence, Edward and his wife Sophie, newly elevated to the position of Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. That seems a shoo-in. This leaves 3 spots available, assuming they're not given to the children of Edward, Louise and James, or Anne, Zara and Peter. Those 3 spaces could be filled by Harry, Meghan and Andrew. There seems to be broad agreement in royal circles that uncomplaining Edward may have to take the hit of being seated next to Andrew, meaning that peeling away from the aisle, you could have Harry, Meghan, Anne, Sir Tim, Sophie, Edward, and Andrew. Another friend told the Daily Beast, Charles has a strong sense of tradition, and tradition dictates that Harry ought to be in the front row. I am sure he would do the right thing. Despite everything that has happened, he is his son." And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalacintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube Music, or your favorite podcast app of choice. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue, and good times.
Did you know you can name a cockroach after your ex-lover and have it fed to the animals at the zoo? Hi, I'm Johnny Mack with 5 Good News Stories. It's a podcast twice a week where I tell you 5 good news stories, 5 fluffy stories. I just want to make you smile to start your day. I can tell you about a cat and a rabbit that fell in love, or I can tell you how porta potties are about to be a lot less horrible. What kind of show is this? It's called 5 Good News Stories. The number 5 Good News Stories. Follow it, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. 5 Good News Stories.